So, this is the first episode of Micah's matchups, where Micah, talks about the schedules for the next 7 days every single Friday. Well, it's Friday right now. This will probably be posted by Monday. Um, but I just talk about the schedules for the week from Saturday to Friday, and every Friday they'll be posted. And let's just get right into it. Um, we're gonna start Saturday. February 1st, we're gonna start with the Big Ten. And in this, I'll also talk about like some games that I think are big for college basketball. Also, well, let's just get started. We're gonna start with and actually, I'm gonna talk about conferences. So we're gonna go by conferences. We're gonna go by conferences. So like, I have the Big Ten. We're gonna talk about the Big Ten, all the games in the Big Ten on Saturday. All the games in the Big 12, SEC, ACC, and Big East. Big East, if you don't know that, they're just really good at basketball. Maybe you'll recognize some of the teams. Well, let's just start with the Big Ten. At 11 a.m. on Saturday, Washington at Minnesota at 11 a.m., like I said. Number 17, Wisconsin versus Northwestern at 1 p.m. Michigan at Rutgers at 2:30, and number 7 Michigan State at USC at 3:30. There's only one game that I really want to talk about here is the Michigan State. That Michigan State team is pretty good this year. I don't have any other players on the top of my head, but they're just a good team this year. I think number 7, you have to be good to be number 7 too. I think that just sets the stake. If you're number 7, you're a good team. That's just my opinion. Let's move on to the Big 12. I got a few games to talk about here, but let's just list them off. At noon, we have Arizona at Arizona State. We got Kansas State at number 3 Iowa State at 1. We have number 11 Kansas at Baylor at 3. BYU at UCF at 3. Number 22 Texas Tech at number 6 Houston at 5. And by the way, before I talk about the games that I want to talk about, I just want to say all of these times that I am saying is Central Time. So it would be like 1 o'clock Central Time when I say 1 o'clock. A few games that I want to talk about. I want to talk about Texas Tech at Houston at 5. Texas Tech played lights out against Iowa State. Just played lights out. Now they're just like, they're a decent team, but they're still good. I think Houston is just refusing to lose. I feel like they won't lose. They hit a game-winning shot. They come out versus UCF. They hit a game-winning shot. Then they come out versus Kansas, and with 9 seconds left. Well, they're down by 6 with like 13 seconds left. And they make 2 threes to go in overtime and win in overtime. But like, they just sneak. Oh no, they won in double overtime, I think, actually. That was in overtime when they hit those 2 threes. Texas Tech, I think they're good enough to beat Houston, but they're just gonna have to play well to stay up in that. And another game I want to talk about is the Kansas at Baylor. Baylor hasn't been great this year. I think I don't know. But they're not great. I think they're capable of beating Kansas because they're at home. But I don't really know for sure. Move on to the SEC. We got Florida at Tennessee. We got Georgia at Alabama. Texas at LSU. Arkansas at Kentucky. Missouri at Mississippi State. Vanderbilt at Oklahoma. Auburn at Ole Miss. And Texas A&M at South Carolina. I want to talk about Auburn here. Auburn at Ole Miss. I feel like you got to cheer for Ole Miss in this matchup. But Ole Miss, let's. I think they can. I think that they're capable. Like that. It's not. They're. You talk about them for football. That's just what you do. But I feel like this year they're capable of being a top 25 team and capable of getting quad 1 wins. That's just what I think. Let's move on to the ACC. We got Pittsburgh at Wake Forest. At 11, Clemson at NC State. Louisville at Georgia Tech. Stanford at SMU. North Carolina at Duke. Notre Dame at Miami. And last but not least, Florida State at Boston College. There's one game I want to talk about. I want to talk about the North Carolina at Duke. Duke, they're number 2. They're really good. One of the best teams in the country, obviously. Yeah, I just think they're capable of sweeping it. Like they're playing well. They got 1 loss. No, they beat Auburn, I think. Yeah, like they beat Auburn. Like that's the number 1 team in the country. That's the only team in front of them, and I just don't think the ACC is going to give them much. I think this is their hardest game for the rest of the year. I think if Duke is going to lose, it's the game. I don't think they're going to lose much other ones, but yeah, I hope North Carolina pulls that one off. Let's move to the Big East. Providence at St. John's. At 11, Creighton at Villanova. At 12, and UConn at Marquette. Don't really have much games. Maybe the UConn Marquette one. I don't think it's huge for the college basketball. Sorry. So I'm just gonna move on from there. We're gonna go to Sunday, February 2nd in the Big Ten. We got Ohio State at Illinois at 12, and Nebraska at Oregon. I just need to say, go Big Red. Second favorite team right there. I gotta cheer for Ohio State and when they're playing Illinois and Nebraska versus Oregon. I think key for Nebraska to beat Oregon. Oregon's a very good team in the Big Ten. They gotta play D. They're good enough on offense, I feel like. Nebraska's good at offense. That's no doubt in my mind. I want to move on to the Big 12. West Virginia at Cincinnati and Colorado at TCU. Number games to talk about there. They're all 3 of them. I feel like West Virginia's the best team in that, and they're not even great. Beat Iowa State, but at them. No games in the SEC on Sunday and no games in the ACC. In the Big East, we have Seton Hall at DePaul at 5. Not much there. Neither of them are ranked. I don't think there's much there. We'll go to Monday, February 3rd. No games in the Big Ten that day. Then let's go to the Big 12, where Iowa State, number 3, plays Kansas. We need to talk about this game. Iowa State, number 3 in the country. They're a pretty good team. Not even being biased here. I'm an Iowa State fan. Diehard, actually. I hope we get Kansas. We got them at home by 17 points. I hope we can go and get them away. I just hope. hope. I just hope. I just hope. I just hope. Yeah. Kansas, good team. Allen Fieldhouse gets so loud. It's gonna be full. When they get hot, they're gonna keep shooting the ball really well. We just gotta stay strong. Gotta be physical. Got to be physical. KJ Adams back healthy now. It's gonna be tough to beat them at Kansas in Allen Fieldhouse. It's gonna be tough for the Cyclones. No games in the SEC on Monday, but there is one game in the ACC. Virginia at Pittsburgh. Not much there. Don't think we need to talk about that. Think I got Virginia, even though at Pittsburgh. And no games in the Big East on Monday. A lot of games here. We got Tuesday, February 4th. In the Big Ten, we got number 10 Purdue at Iowa. Let's just say, don't like the Hawks because you gotta cheer for State, but I'm still going for Purdue in this, even though Purdue is number 10. It's at Iowa. Iowa, if they shoot well, like it's hard to beat them when they're shooting. Like they could not play defense. I don't like to say that, but like they could not play defense at all. Like versus Wisconsin, they let like 120 points. Like could not play defense. Minnesota at Penn State, Indiana at number 17 Wisconsin, USC at Northwestern, number 7 Michigan State at UCLA. I think I only wanted to talk about Iowa and that Big 10 region. Big 12, we got Oklahoma State at 6 Houston. Let's go Oklahoma State. That's all I gotta say there. Baylor at Texas Tech. I'm going to talk about that game. You got to go for Texas Tech. Baylor, they're not good. So that makes Iowa State look bad because we barely beat them. Now that we beat them, we want them to win. But so I'm going for Texas Tech on Tuesday. We got Kansas State at Arizona State, and Arizona at BYU. And in the SEC, we got number 24 Vanderbilt at 5 Florida. Number 5 Florida, if you got confused there. Number 12 Kentucky at number 23 Ole Miss. Oklahoma at Auburn. I want to talk about the Oklahoma-Auburn game. There's 3 really good games here. One team is not ranked, and that's Oklahoma. Oklahoma's a good team still, though. I think they can pull off a win versus Auburn. If Oklahoma's a defensive-based team. Can't really shoot the ball. They can shoot it every so often. When they get hot, they get hot. But if they play D, don't let Auburn score, which that's their top point, and they score the ball, I think the game plan for Oklahoma is score more points than they do. I think that's the goal of every game. Let's go to the ACC where there's Notre Dame at Florida State. We got Georgia Tech at Clemson. And not much to talk about there. No teams are ranked. No teams are towards the top of the ACC at all. Let's move to the Big East, where we got Marquette at St. John's and Georgetown at Xavier. I want to talk about the Marquette-St. John's game. St. John's, number 15. Marquette, number 9. I feel like it's hard to do this, but I think I got to go for Marquette with Iowa State beating them by a good amount of points. So you gotta have them be good. If they beat St. John's, that means like everybody's saying we can beat St. John's now. Yeah, I feel like you got. If you're an Iowa State fan, I'm cheering for Marquette in that matchup on Tuesday. Let's move on to Wednesday, February 5th, where we got in the Big Ten, we have number 16 Oregon at Michigan at 5:30. We got number 18 Illinois at Rutgers at 7:30, and Nebraska at Washington at 9:30. Not much to talk about there. Oregon, Illinois playing, both ranked. And by the way, everything after Monday, there'll be different rankings. Some teams could be the same, but the rankings that I am saying could be changed. Most of them will for the rankings. Yeah, number 16 and 18, they're good teams. I hope they lose. Always going for the upset. Always. And then we got, for the Big 12, we got Cincinnati at UCF at 6, and we got West Virginia at TCU at 7, and Colorado at Utah at 8. Not much to talk about there. All those teams low on the Big 12. None of them ranked. We do got one matchup here in the SEC on Wednesday. I'll save that for last to say. We got Arkansas, Texas at 8. LSU at Georgia at 8. And move on to the game when we talk about is Missouri at number 8 Tennessee. I'm cheering for Missouri in this matchup. I don't know. Is Caleb Grills? I think Caleb Grills still on that team. Played for Iowa State 2 years ago. Caleb Grill, where everybody started saying fire up the grill. He was a good shooter. Yeah, Zakai Ziegler on Tennessee. He could go off. At Tennessee. Tennessee's, their home court is not as like powerful and yelling as much as like Iowa State or Kansas. Yeah, they're in the Big 12. There's just so many places where it's so hard to play. In the Big 12, it's so hard to win an away game. So hard. That's why everybody's impressed with Houston right now. They just won't lose. They just won't lose. I'm going to move on to the ACC, where we got Duke at Syracuse, Louisville at Boston College, SMU at Virginia Tech, NC State at California, and Wake Forest at Stanford. When I said California, it's Cal, if you call it that. Cal. But one game I want to talk about here is Duke at Syracuse. It's at Syracuse. Going to be a tough game for the Blue Devils. You got to go for Syracuse in that matchup every day of the week. I feel like, and I say not much to talk about, I guess, about that. Number overall pick. Like the person that's like number overall pick prospect. Why can't I think of his name? Cooper. Is that his name? Maybe you'll think of it. I'll tell you if I remember it later. Butler at sorry. Oh, sorry. We're gonna go to the Big East. Where we have Butler at Seton Hall at 5:30, Creighton at Providence at 7:30, Villanova at DePaul at 8. Not much to talk about there. None of them ranked. We're going to speed through. There's not many good games. There's one game that I want to talk about. And Thursday and Friday, not much to talk about on Thursday, February 6th. Maryland at Ohio State for the Big Ten. Not much to talk about. None of them good. None of them are good. And no games for the Big 12, SEC, ACC, or Big East. So we're going to move on to Friday, February 7th. We have USC at Purdue. Not much there. At Purdue, they're probably going to win. But there's this game that I'm talking about. No big games in the Big 12, SEC, or ACC here. But we got a game in the Big East where we got St. John's at UConn. That's going to be a close game. I feel like that's the game. Next Friday. I'm watching that. That's the game. There's going to be nothing on TV that night. There's going to be a game at 6, Purdue. And then there's going to be a game at 7 with St. John's and UConn. That's the game that I'm watching. If we have nothing going on, well, that's the end of Micah's matchups, where we just talk about the schedule for the next 7 days. Yeah, bye.